Hello YouTube, please excuse my voice. I'm trying the past 10 minutes to clear my throat, but I have like 3 frogs in there, so I might sound funny. I have finally finished my hardware on my Can Gauge Pro 1000. That's the official name. And before I show you the gauge itself, as I have before, well, not like this, but similar with the 3D printed case version first, I wanted to show the PCBs that I created for it. So this is the main PCB, and as you can see, it's based on the ESP32. It has a GPS module. This is a placeholder for DC-DC buck converter. Currently it's in the OBDII plug, so it's not used in here. And you have all those connections. It has dual CAN bus, internal or external. I'm using the external one. It has obviously 10 NeoPixels that are on the back. Well, the PCB is in here like this, so the NeoPixels are facing the front, but I designed it this way, so this is design wise the top. And I did add some, as you can see, screw holes, tabs, so you could use this as with the display as a standalone or mount it anywhere you like. You would technically then only need to create the opening for the displays and 10 holes and then put this from the behind. What I also created is this PCB, which has the following function. As it says here, actually it's just a spacer PCB, and the reason for that is it goes actually underneath. It has a couple of reasons. First of all, I am using a vertical USB Type-C connector, and the pins are longer than the thickness of the PCB. So if I put this in here, I have the pins sticking out from the back, and those would technically touch, or technically they will touch the back of the display, which is here. And to eliminate that, I did design the spacer PCB with the opening for the Type-C connector and the opening for in case I'm gonna use the buck converter on here, so I can solder it in with pins and the pins would have a space to go. And the shape of this like that is because the ribbon cable needs some room. Normally what you see is, what other people or companies do is they go with the ribbon cable underneath, and you have to go, I'm sorry, I'm out of picture. You have to go underneath with the ribbon cable, because if you have a touch screen, this goes on top of it. So if you would not go underneath, you will not be able to use the touch screen, because it is, as you can see, on top of the ribbon cable. So, and other companies do just this. They go in through that from the bottom, and then you have the thickness of the ribbon cable adds to the side of the PCB. Now if I would do it like that and have the connector here, the connector would be, I'm exaggerating, would be crooked like that. So to have it straight and to have room for the pins, I created this PCB, the spacer PCB, where the ribbon cable has room to lie in, and it makes room for the connector, for the pins of the connector that are sticking out the back, and it is perfectly parallel to each other. So this is the inside of the case. I'm also using a speaker, so it will have sound. I added a small amplifier chip on here, and it has like 1.5 watts of sound, and you can play WAV files, you can play tone files, and it is loud enough loud enough to be heard in the car. And I'm gonna use this as warning sounds if you go over, not on RPM, but if you go, like, if your temperature rises above safe levels, or oil pressure drops below safe levels, if you do add the oil pressure sensor to your car, because most cars do not have it or don't have it on the OBD. But with the use of my CAN bus node, you can add it. So this is the inside, and now let me show you the gauge. It has a motion detection, so as soon as you go into the car it turns on, and as soon as you leave your car, if you turn off the ignition, go home, whatever, it turns itself off. Reason for that is because the OBD plug has constant 12 volt, so you would either have to add a switch 12 volt to the OBD plug, which that's what I'm using myself, but for this gauge I wanted to have it plug and play just into the OBD port without any having to find wires or splice wires or whatever. So this is obviously a touch screen. I showed it before, most people will know it. You touch the center, you go into the menu, and I should have that further back. Well, anyway, you have 6 screens. This is the main screen with gear indicator, throttle position, RPM, speed, and water temperature. And if you, of course, the obligatory, no, I'm pronouncing wrong, never mind, the neopixels with the shift light, and if you go over your certain threshold, which is individually, it shows shift here. And also if you go on Celsius, if it goes above 100 degrees Celsius, you have the triangle come on. These values are sorry, these values are generated by my simulator. Speed and RPM I can adjust with a potentiometer, and you've seen it turns red and the triangle comes on. Same goes for speed. If you go over your speed limit, it shows the triangle. And this is obviously gear indicator. This is for automatic transmissions. Obviously, once you put it in D, the gear lever doesn't move by itself, but I wanted to add an animation, so that's why I did that. If you have a stick shift, you have the regular stick shift, if it's 5 speed, 6 speed, whatever, and then the knob moves depending on which gear you're in. So this is that screen. And then you have the boost screen, which shows voltmeter, air fuel ratio, oil temperature, and this is timing advance, which will be replaced by oil pressure. I will most likely do oil pressure, oil temperature like that, or oil temperature and oil pressure like that. I don't know yet. And this is your boost. If you have a regular aspirated engine, it goes only from minus. Don't mind the numbers, these are wrongs, that's just animation so far. It will change slightly. If you have a regular aspirated engine, it goes up to 0, and if you have a turbo, it goes up to 1.5 bar. and obviously this will also come with imperial, and then it will show in PSI, and temperature will be in Fahrenheit, and speed will be in miles. So, and then you will have a sport screen. This is just a placeholder, it's not finished yet. You will have 60 to 0 to 60 sprint, 0 to 100 kilometers, 100 to 200 kilometers sprint, and quarter mile. And here in the middle you will have a G-force meter. So don't mind these lines also, those are just also placeholders. They will be adjusted depending on the code. And it also has a GPS. Mind you, all those numbers here are just simulated, only the clock is live. And it is showing currently the wrong speed because it doesn't have a satellite fix. But it's receiving every second the NEMA sentences. So this is also time, date, altitude, meters, imperial will be feet, speed kilometers and or miles depending, and latitude, longitude, and this will show you how many satellite fixes you'll have. And these are the screens I have. This is also just a placeholder for data screen, which will show you all the other temperatures in your car. And you will have also info screen with DTS error screen and whatnot. I actually did have obviously not. I have it written down somewhere, but those screens will follow. And this is obviously the menu screen, and that's how you switch menus. So let me show it to you from the back, and it gets connected with the Type-C connector. And this is the back of it. I put a nice logo, name, my name and date. This is the sensor for the LDR, for the automatically adjusting the display and NeoPixel brightness. This is a logo I added, and there is a magnet behind it that makes this hold in the car. And I tried it, I drove over bumps, and it is strong enough not to fall down. Normally actually you would just put I forgot to put all the stuff already. You would have a round, just a metal plate with double-sided tape, and you can see that's holding as well. But first I didn't want to cover up the, you see it's magnetic. I did not want to cover up the logo. Obviously if you mount it like that it will be covered. But to have a stronger adhesion, I could have just glued this from the back plate of the PCB and have it like that, but I put a magnet in here because magnet to magnet is stronger than magnet to metal. So this is the back, and this is my new gauge, which will hopefully be hardware wise. As you can see, it's finished. There's nothing else I will add or need to add to it, and I just need to finish the code. So this is it, guys. If you have any questions, comments, leave them underneath the video, you know where. And I also want to thank again to all my supporters on Banggood and my Patreons. It does help to buy parts, order PCBs or whatever, and I greatly appreciate it, and thank you for your continuous support. I have the links in the descriptions that you can check out below the video. I think this was it. I'm just looking around on my desk to see if I missed anything, but no. I talked about the speaker. Oh, sound is also not added yet. That will be added as well into the code. And just in case you're wondering about the size, because on the video always my hands are not that big. It's 100 millimeters wide, 74 I think it was, yes, 74 high and 17 millimeters deep, so it is not too big. And I am mounting it with a magnetic cell phone holder in the lower right hand corner of my windshield. And this is it, guys. If you like it or if you don't like it, leave your comments and I'm gladly read it and reply to them. Thanks for watching and take care, everybody.